Welcome to Mr. Disturbing. Tonight, we're plunging into the dark heart of the Appalachians with some truly unsettling true horror stories. That'll keep you up all night. If you're brave enough, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next descent into fear. I'm 39 years old. I burned out last year. 2 deaths in the family, a divorce, a panic attack in a grocery store. I work remote now, mostly software, quiet. I needed a break, a real one. So I rented a cabin for a month. Northern Georgia, Appalachian foothills, no neighbors, just pines. The kind that don't sway even in wind. The first week was perfect. Coffee on the porch, cold air, nothing but stillness. Until one morning I noticed something. A figure, far off, on the ridge to the north. Just standing there, arms at his sides, looking in my direction. Too far to see details, just shape, outline, a man. At first I assumed it was a hiker or a hunter, but he didn't move. I checked every hour, still there, still facing me, still. I used binoculars, but they wouldn't focus. The glass blurred over only when aimed at him. Everything else stayed sharp. That night I dreamed of the ridge, but the trees were gone. Just the man, closer now, still, silent. When I woke up, I couldn't see him, but by noon, he was back. Same spot, same posture. I called the ranger station, no answer. Tried GPS, no trail led to that ridge, no name, no elevation markings, just topography, just contour lines. But not flat, not passable. I stopped sleeping well. Each morning I'd check the ridge. He'd be there, and always just a little bit closer. Not every day, just barely, but enough to feel it. I measured the gap between 2 trees as landmarks. Then 3 days later, he was 3 feet closer. I kept a notebook, tracked the shift. By the end of the second week, he had crossed nearly 60 yards. But never moved, never walked, never lifted an arm, just stood still. I stayed off the porch, closed the blinds. I tried not to look, but every reflection pulled my eyes toward the window. One night I walked into the kitchen and caught my own reflection, looking back at the ridge, but my body hadn't turned. I left the lights on after that. Even during the day, I didn't dream anymore. Just blinked and woke up later. One morning I opened the front door and there were pine needles inside, dozens, arranged in a perfect arrow, pointing north, toward him. I tried to leave, packed the car, started driving. The road circled, once, then again, until I passed my own tire tracks. Same spot, same exact pattern of frost. I parked, walked back inside. The power flickered. My watch ticked backward. I stepped onto the porch. He was closer. The ridge looked wrong now, smaller, shallower, like it had bent, or bowed, or reached forward. I shut the door, pushed a chair under the knob, and I waited. The third week began with silence. Not the peaceful kind, the heavy kind, like pressure in the ears before a storm. The man was still there, but farther somehow, even though he looked closer. The space between us had warped. The hills dipped in ways I didn't remember. Trees leaned at wrong angles. The sky had a tint I couldn't name. I looked through the binoculars again. Still no focus. But this time, I saw something else. A faint shadow behind him. Like a second figure. Taller, less human, but still, watching. I dropped the binoculars. The lenses cracked. The man didn't flinch. I tried recording it. Phone camera glitched, static lines, audio hiss, and a faint whisper layered under the wind. Not words, just cadence, like breath-learning language. I didn't play it twice. That night, I dreamt of walking, but I wasn't using my legs, just gliding, closer to the ridge. Trees pulled past me like waves. The man grew larger, but only in my head. When I woke up, my shoes were muddy, my feet sore. My phone's GPS history said I'd moved 5 miles north between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., but I had locked the doors, all of them, and my keys were under my pillow. I tried to stay inside. I taped black trash bags over the windows, but the sound remained low, beneath the floorboards. Not creaks, not rats. Breathing. Slow. Intentional. My voice recorder picked up faint phrases when I left it running. My name. Then silence. Then a second voice. The same words. My voice. But slower. Off-key. Like an echo that aged on the way back. I checked the ridge the next morning. He was gone. Just mist. Just empty space. I almost felt relief, until I turned around and saw footprints on the porch. Bare. Long. Wet. Leading to the front door, then stopping. No return path. No smear. Just 2 prints. Like someone stood still, watching. I opened the door slowly. The prints hadn't followed, but something else had. The air inside smelled different. Old dust, burnt pine, rain on stone. I heard the fridge click on, even though it wasn't plugged in. I turned off all the breakers. The light in the hallway stayed on. Dim yellow, buzzing, flickering in threes. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the chair facing the door, shotgun in my lap. But the wood behind me groaned like something shifting weight. Not above me, beneath. The man wasn't on the ridge anymore, but I felt him everywhere. In the mirrors, in the walls, in the timing of creaks and silence. And then I realized something. It wasn't that he was getting closer. It was me. I was farther now, farther from the cabin, farther from the road, farther from anything I remembered. The world around me was thinning, stretching, pulling, like warm taffy. And the cabin, it was just a shape, a memory, fading behind my eyes. And when I blinked, I saw the ridge. Not through a window, but in front of me, close and empty. I stood in the doorway, but the air felt wrong. The porch wasn't wood anymore, not exactly, softer, warmer. My boots left no sound. The trees had shifted again, thinner, taller, not natural, like someone drew them from memory. And the ridge was right in front of me. No trail, no climb, just there, waiting. The figure returned. Not far now, 10 feet, closer than ever, but still not moving. I couldn't look away. My breath matched his posture, slow, shallow, like mimicry, like invitation. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. I walked toward him, not because I wanted to, because I always had. Each step felt familiar, like reenacting something old, something built into the bones. The trees watched. They didn't sway, but they leaned, slightly, like listening. I stopped 3 feet from him. The ridge fell silent. No wind, no birds, no blood in my ears, just stillness. Then, he blinked, once, slow, and I felt something peel inside my skull. Not pain, just exposure, like a wall falling inward. His mouth opened, but not toward me, toward the sky. And I felt mine open too, not by will, but by pattern. His arms lifted, so did mine. Every motion he made, I followed, or he followed me. I couldn't tell. He stepped closer. I didn't flinch. He reached for my face. His hand stopped an inch away, cold, still. Then I blinked, and he was behind me, and I was looking out from the ridge, down toward the cabin. But the cabin was wrong. Smaller, too far. Like a model. Like something I used to live in. And someone stood on the porch, looking back. Not at me, but toward where I used to stand. I tried to move. Nothing happened. My legs were part of the ground, my fingers locked against my sides. The wind returned. Cold. Sharp. It moved through me, but didn't move me. I had no breath, no weight, just form. Still, watching, always watching. I tried to scream, but there was no mouth, only silence and distance and time. Then I saw it, the figure, far off, down below, on the path, walking toward the cabin, toward the ridge. I recognized the way he moved, the hesitation in each step, the way his shoulders hunched. He had just arrived, and he would look up, and he would see me, and he would start to measure how far I was, and I would not move, and I would not speak. I would only watch, like the one before me, like the one before him, like we all do, because there is always a man on the ridge, always has been, always will be, and now, it's me. I'm 36 years old. I've hiked for most of my life, alone. I like silence, I like patterns, but there's a kind of silence in the mountains that isn't peace. It's pressure. Last March, I took a solo trip into southern Appalachia, just above North Carolina, below the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'd been through the region before, but this time I saw something new. A red mark, painted on a rock, small, faded, almost rubbed away. A line through a circle, not a blaze, not a sign, just there. Facing north into a narrow hollow. No trail name, no marker on GPS, but a footpath, overgrown, used long ago. I followed it, not for adventure, just curiosity. It dipped fast, cold air, old leaves. The deeper I went, the quieter it got. Not just quiet, still, too still. I called out, just to test the echo. But the sound that came back was wrong, slower, lower, like someone repeating it, not reflecting it. I paused, called again, louder. Hey! The echo returned, but it added a word. Hey, you! I stood still, waited. No movement, no voice, no breath, just woods. I pressed on. Maybe 20 minutes in, I turned back. Same trail, same trees, but different. The way light fell had changed. The moss clung to the wrong sides. The slope now leaned opposite. I walked faster, but I didn't see my own footprints. Only more of the red symbol, now on trees, small, carved, some fresh. I started to sweat. The air stayed cold. My steps made no sound, like walking in a recording. I turned a corner and saw my own backpack. Sitting in the middle of the trail, I hadn't dropped it, I was wearing it. I looked down. It was still strapped to me. I looked up. The second pack was gone. I checked my compass. It spun. I held my breath. The trees bent. Just slightly. Toward me. I stepped backward. The trail stretched. Not wider. Longer. The trees farther apart than a moment ago. I ran. No hesitation. But my feet barely moved me. The forest folded in angles that shouldn't exist. The light above flickered like clouds passing, but the sky was clear. And then I heard it again. My voice, far off, but not an echo. A sentence, something I'd never said. You're almost out. I froze, looked back, nothing. I called again. Where are you? The echo came. You're almost in. My knees buckled. My mind blurred. I closed my eyes, counted to 10, opened them. I was standing somewhere else. I froze mid-step, my breath caught. The words still echoing behind my teeth, but I hadn't said anything, not yet, not out loud, and still I'd heard them. Wrong choice. From my own throat, ahead of me, behind me, inside me, the air rippled, like breath behind my ears. I turned, slowly, and saw myself, standing 10 yards back, pale, still, eyes too wide, smile not quite mine. My head tilted, the other me matched it, the same angle, but slower, like memory on delay, like I was remembering myself a few seconds late. I whispered, just once, please. And the forest laughed, not loud, not sharp, a laugh made of leaves brushing against bone. It moved through the trees like wind with direction, and then everything stopped. The woods, the ringing, even the breath in my lungs. I blinked, and I was standing back on the trail. Red symbol in front of me, same rock, same light, same air. But I wasn't holding anything, no pack, No water, no phone, my legs didn't ache. My mouth wasn't dry. My hand touched my face, no scratch, no blood. I looked down, no footprints, no past, just the trail ahead, just a whisper. My voice. Not now, before, or later. It said only one thing. Try again. And the trees opened. The path dipped, and I stepped forward. Because that's what I always did. Because I'd always been here. Because I always would be. And the forest watched, and remembered, and waited, and repeated. I was 38 when I moved to Thistle Ridge. A worn piece of Appalachian land no one talked about unless you already knew it. The kind of place that wasn't listed on Google Maps unless you zoomed way in, and even then, all it gave you was elevation lines and bad directions. I rented a cabin up there for the winter. Cheap. Too cheap. The woman who handed me the key wouldn't make eye contact when I told her where I was headed. "No service up there," she said. "You hear anything strange? Keep your head down." I laughed. She didn't. The cabin itself was old, log-sided, sagging slightly west, but solid, warm when the stove was going. Miles from the nearest neighbor. Exactly what I needed. Silence. Solitude. A place to let the noise in my head die out. For the first few nights, it was exactly that. Wind in the eaves, coyotes in the dark, a sky full of cold stars. But on the 7th night, I saw the first light. A flicker of orange halfway up the ridge behind the cabin. Steady, low to the ground, moving slow. I thought maybe it was a hunter, or someone with a lantern, but the movement wasn't right. It floated too even, no bounce, no shift in weight. I watched until it blinked out. A minute later, another appeared. Farther left, same glow, same pace. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I checked the ridge. No tracks, just wind-cut snow and dead pine. I hiked to the spot where the first light had been. Nothing there, just cold silence. I told myself it was moonlight, a trick of the eyes, maybe distant cabin lights I hadn't mapped. That night, I turned in early, left the blinds closed, but around midnight, the dog started whining. I don't own a dog. The sound came from under the floorboards, low, slow, pained, like something remembering how to cry. I sat up, heart racing. The sound stopped, but outside, the lights were back, 3 of them, side by side, floating in place. I stepped out onto the porch, flashlight in hand. The beams flickered, failed. The air smelled wrong, like wet ash and something old. My ears rang. The lights didn't move, they just waited. Then one by one, they began to drift forward. Not fast, not erratic, just smooth, deliberate. They moved in a wide arc around the cabin, then vanished into the trees. I went back inside, locked the door. I started hearing whispers after that, always at night, always outside. They didn't say words, just patterns, the same rhythm, over and over. Sometimes they circled the cabin. Sometimes they pressed close. I could hear breath fogging the windows, but nothing was ever there. I tried leaving once, packed everything before sunrise, hiked back to where my truck was parked. The road was gone. The trees had moved. The path was different, like someone had copied it wrong. I circled for hours, kept ending up at the same place. I'm 40 years old. I don't take vacations often. I don't do well around people anymore, so when I booked the cabin, I told myself it was just air, just trees, just peace. The listing said 2 bedrooms, a fireplace, solar power, no cell reception. That was the appeal, just silence. I arrived Friday afternoon, early March, air still cold, but the snow had melted. The drive-in was long, unmarked roads, winding switchbacks, but the cabin was clean, tall ceilings, old wood. Everything smelled like pine and dust. I set my bag down, checked the rooms. Bedroom 1, queen bed. Small desk, bedroom 2, twin bunks, empty shelves. Then I noticed it. A door between them, set back in the hall. No label, no knob, no lock, just wood. Seamless. At first I thought it was a closet, but it didn't match the floor plan. The wall was flat on the listing. I pressed my palm to it, cold, solid, but deeper than it looked. I knocked. No echo. I stood there longer than I meant to, staring, breathing. Then I heard something shift, behind the door, slow, soft. I told myself it was old pipes, settling wood. I made a note to ask the owner, but no signal, no email. I walked away, built a fire, ate dinner, tried to read, but my eyes kept drifting. Back to the hallway, back to the door. It hadn't moved, but it felt closer, like the frame leaned inward, just slightly. I took a photo, just to prove it existed, but the image came out blank. White flash, no shape. I tried again. Same result. I turned off the lights, lay in bed, tried not to think. But I dreamed of the door. In the dream it opened, not inward, but upward, like a trapdoor, and something pale pulled itself through. Not fast, not loud, just wrong. When I woke, the fire was out. The hallway colder, my feet bare, dirt on the floorboards, thin lines like fingers dragged from the frame to my room and back. I swept the dirt up, but it didn't stay gone. A few hours later, it was back. Same lines, same direction, as if something kept walking the same path. From the third door to my bed and back again. I stopped trying to ignore it. I stood in front of the door, pressed my ear to the wood. No sound, just a feeling, like standing at the edge of a cave. One that breathes. I knocked once, just to prove it meant nothing. But the sound came back late. Not echo, response. Same rhythm, same knock, just deeper. I stepped back, didn't touch it again. That night I set up my phone, a basic motion app, leaned it against the floorboard facing the door, left the light on, went to sleep. No dreams this time, just static. When I woke up, the phone was gone. Not moved. Gone. I found it inside the fireplace. Burned. Melted. Battery swollen. But the lens was intact, and the last image auto-saved to the cloud when the Wi-Fi pinged at sunrise. One photo, the hallway, empty. But the door, slightly open. I hadn't touched it. I never saw it move. But there it was, just ajar, maybe an inch. Enough for shadow to fall outward. Enough for something to see. I tried not to panic. Pushed a chair against the frame. No good, no latch, no give. It just stood there, watching. The air around it colder, stiller. I made coffee. Didn't drink it. My reflection in the window blinked before I did. I stopped checking the time. My watch kept resetting to 3:17 a.m., even at noon. I don't remember falling asleep that night, but I woke to sound, not a knock, a voice, mine, just outside the door, whispering. The same sentence, over and over. Let me finish. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, just stared. The voice slowed, dragged like tape. Each syllable cracked, stretched, until it stopped. The door still closed, but not still. I could see it breathing now. In, out, slow, measured, matching mine. I turned every light on, sat in the corner, knife in hand. Not for it, for me. In case the whisper became a scream, it never did. But in the morning, there were 2 toothbrushes in the bathroom, 2 pairs of shoes by the door, 2 jackets hung, both mine. But I came here alone. I stood in the kitchen, stared at the mugs. There were 2 now, one clean, one used, still warm. Coffee half gone, but I hadn't made it. I looked in the trash. 2 receipts from the gas station. Same timestamp, same total, slightly different handwriting. Mine and mine again. But the second one was neater, more deliberate, like a version of me that wasn't in a rush. I checked the bedroom. My bag was open, folded differently, neatly, too neatly. My clothes arranged in stacks I never made. I stood in the hallway, faced the third door. It was closed again, seamless, flat, like it had never moved. But I knew it had. The air told me. The light bending told me. The weight in my chest told me. I touched the frame. It was warm, not heat, body warmth, like someone had just pressed their palm there from the other side. I whispered, not on purpose, "Which one of us is real?" And the floor creaked behind me. Not footstep, just agreement. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to see. I stared straight ahead, into the wood, into the breath behind it, into the memory of who I'd been before I heard the first knock. I sat down, back against the door, and I waited. It didn't open, but I heard it settle, like someone sitting on the other side, back to back, breathing with me. Same rhythm, same fear, same smile. That night I didn't sleep. I closed my eyes, and I saw myself, from above, lying still, one hand twitching, the other pressed to the floor, like listening. The next morning I looked in the mirror. My eyes were wrong, same color, same shape, but something behind them had shifted, like someone else had been practicing, getting better at being me. I spoke aloud. My voice cracked, but not from dryness, from newness, from use, from beginning again. The door stayed shut, but I think it's already done. I think I walked in and never came back out. I think I'm the version that got left behind, the one that almost worked, the one that still twitches at night, and the one behind the door. He smiles cleaner now, sleeps deeper, lives louder, and every night I hear him breathing, not behind the door anymore, but from inside my mouth, from inside my dreams. And soon, I think he'll finish.